the Grouchy Nerd. Alright, quiet down, knuckleheads. We're going to look at another new hero from Marvel Champions from Fantasy Flight Games. This is Adam Warlock. He was one of the heroes that came with the expansion Mad Titan's Shadow. Adam Warlock began his life as an artificial being called Him, designed by the Enclave to be the pinnacle of evolution, which in their mind was the perfect human being. And I have to just immediately take umbrage with that. Humanity is the pinnacle of evolution? Where's my exoskeleton? Why does the sun hurt my skin sometimes? Look at these. 2 arms. He fled the Enclave, kidnapped and tried to mate with the Lady Sif, but not in an expressly rapey way, more of in a primal, he feels like he should mate with something caveman way, which I guess we're saying we're okay with. Anyway, Thor beat the crap out of him for it, and he spent some time in a cocoon. Him, not Thor. Since his rebirth as Adam Warlock, he has had to fight Magus, who was an evil future version of himself with the help of Thanos. He's fought Thanos with the help of the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's become Magus, who had to fight Thanos and the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Also, he's all gold. No, if that does anything for you. In terms of Marvel Champions, he's also got a hand size of 6 on his Zen side mode, 11 hit points, a recovery of 3, and the Mystic trait, which means he can take the Sorcerer Supreme. Now for maybe the most intimidating sentence I've had to say in terms of this game. Avatar of Life. During deck building, your deck must include an equal number of cards from all 4 aspects. You cannot have more than 1 non-Adam Warlock card. In other words, I will be web decking. Onto the hero side of Adam Warlock, his hand size goes down by 1, of course. 1 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 defense. I guess the fact that you can take combat training, heroic intuition, and armored vest kind of make up for those stats, because blech. He's got the Guardian and the Mystic traits, which are both pretty good traits to have. Got a lot of good synergies going on there. And he has Battle Mage. As a hero action, once per phase, discard a card from your hand. If that card was aggression, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Justice, remove 2 threat from a scheme. Protection, heal 1 damage from an ally. Leadership, give a hero +1 to all stats for the round. I don't know, man. Like, there are a lot of combinations, but you can't put in more than 1 copy of anything aspect-wise, so you can't really guarantee or even try to mitigate chances of getting certain cards into your hand at the same time to pay off those combos. Plus, you're going to be wanting to use Battle Mage. It's too much for me. But let's get into the rest of his hero kit. First up is his signature ally, Pip the Troll, which, I don't know, feels racist or speciesist. Like, were there a lot of other Pips you had to differentiate from? Why did we have to point out that he's other? He's removed. He's different than. Feels unnecessary. Pip, the Troll, so I'm clear, is a 2-cost, 2-hit point ally that does 1 thwart, 1 attack, comes into play with a tough status card, and has an interrupt. When a player is attacked, spend an energy and a mental resource to put Pip, now again that's Pip the Troll, into play under that player's control. So it's effectively a block with a tough. Would be better if it was any 2 resources? Sure. But it's good. Next is 1 copy of Soul World, which I think is meant to be inside the Soul Stone. It's a 1-cost location support in Marvel Champions. I can tell you that about it. When your deck runs out, place 1 soul counter here. Then as an alter ego action, exhaust it and spend 1 soul counter to heal all damage from your identity. That's great. As we're going to see, Adam Warlock really burns through his deck, so having something at the end of that to sort of help ease the burden of drawing an extra encounter card more often than you normally would is awesome. And when it's going to be something that totally resets your health, that's fantastic. Next up, 1 copy of Karmic Staff, a 2-cost upgrade that exhausts to generate 1 wild resource. Then we've got 1 copy of Warlock's Cape, a 2-cost upgrade that exhausts to ready Adam Warlock after you use his Battle Mage ability. You're already going to be wanting to use Battle Mage, and cards like this and another one we've got coming up are just going to make that feel even better. So, yeah. 2 copies of Cosmic Ward, a 1-cost spell upgrade. Discard it to cancel the when revealed on a treachery. Obviously great. Bit of a bummer that it's a forced response and you can't just put it out there in hopes of canceling Shadows of the Past. But it's great. 2 copies of Mystic Senses, a 2-cost upgrade that draws a card each time you use Battle Mage. Getting 1 of these out recovers the card that you discarded to use Battle Mage. Getting both of them out nets you a card. Next up is 2 copies of Karmic Blast, a 2-cost superpower attack that does 4 damage. Then you may discard up to 4 cards and do 1 further damage for each different aspect type you discarded. So 4 leadership cards is going to get you 1 extra damage. Cosmic Awareness is basically the same thing, but for Thwart, it costs 2 to remove 3 threat, discard up to 4 cards, and remove an additional threat for each aspect card you discard. It's definitely worth thinking about your deck state before you play one of these cards, or before you decide how many cards you're going to discard to boost them. If you have a bunch of aspect support cards and they're all out, you're going to whiff, and you're just going to discard cards for no reason. Unless, of course, you're trying to get a counter on Soul World, in which case you go for it. You burn through those cards. You do it. Last is 2 copies of Quantum Magic, a 1-cost event to choose a card from your discard pile and add it to your hand. Great if you lost a key card while trying to boost Karmic Blast or Awareness, or if you're looking for just the exact right aspect card for Battle Mage. Intimidation around his deck building rules aside, I found him to be a little meh. A lot of my aspect cards in the couple of different decks I did try were supports or allies or upgrades, so they were out. And so later in the game, when I was really hoping to get those big boosts out of Cosmic Awareness and Karmic Blast, they just weren't there. I was just burning through 4 cards just to get rid of 4 cards, which is not a good feeling. I'm sure there are decks out there, and there will be more decks coming that really make use of this in a really, really good way. I just haven't found them yet. The bad stuff. Adam's Obligation is regeneration cycle, so he's got to go back into his cocoon and heal up. Aww. You may flip to Alter Ego Adam Warlock and exhaust to remove this from the game, or discard 5 cards and add 1 threat to the main scheme for each aspect card discarded this way to discard it. It's that feels like a good obligation. It makes sense for what his ability is. Adam's signature Nemesis minion is Magus, who is evil Adam Warlock from the future and sometimes the present. He has 2 in his stats, 5 hit points, toughness and quick strike are real butts, and you must discard the top 5 cards of your deck each time he activates against you. Not engages. Activates. Better plan on trying to kill him in one go. Adam's signature side scheme is the Universal Church of Truth, which is just about the most terrifying thing I've ever heard of. 2 threat per player after a player resets their deck, exhaust and stun them, and it has an acceleration icon. At only 2 threat, this is very luckily taken out with 1 Battle Mage Justice card, because that in combination with Magus is gross. You're going to be burning through your deck so fast. 2 copies of Zealot of Truth. 1 threat, 2 attack, 4 hit points, and threat can't come off Universal Church of Truth while one of these guys is out. Last is a Treachery that incites 2, so it adds 2 threat to the main scheme when it's revealed, and then either puts the Universal Church of Truth out, or if it is out, makes you discard 10 cards. That's bad. All right, let's look at the aspect cards that came with Adam Warlock. First up is an aggression ally with a very cool and not at all silly name, Marvel Boy, played by No Var, who I think is an alternate realities Captain Marvel, maybe? I do know for sure that he costs 2 and does 2 attack and a whopping 0 thwart. When Marvel Boy attacks, spend a fist to give that attack ranged and piercing. Next is a 2-cost aggression event, In-Betweener. Shuffle this card into the encounter deck. When it's revealed, do 2 damage to the villain and remove it from the game. Okay, so spoilers, there's a card like this in each aspect, something that you shuffle into the encounter deck, and I don't know. It's a cool design to have this, to play with the encounter deck like that, but outside of Adam Warlock, only taking 1 of them, because they're aspect cards, is kind of weak. But then within Adam Warlock, taking all 4 of them removes 4 possibilities of cards you can use to do Battle Mage or boost Cosmic Awareness, and Karmic Blast. So it's a little weird. In-Betweener is actually a great name to look at the first one. In-Betweener. I don't know how I feel about it. Next is a 1-cost aggression event, Magic Attack. Play only if your identity is a mystic. Choose an enemy and discard up to 5 cards from the top of your deck to deal 1 damage per card to that enemy. That's great on Adam because, of course, he's got Soul World, so he has a way to sort of mitigate the damage being done of drawing extra encounter cards. And actually, our other 2 mystics so far are Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, who both also have ways of shutting down extra encounter cards. Yeah. Audacity is an aggression resource card that generates a wild resource and deals 1 damage to the villain when you spend it. It's fine. If you're looking to get specific resource cards, then a wild is great. Otherwise, it seems fine. It's good. In a deck of 40 cards, I think there are probably a lot of other cards you would take before you took this card. Or at least I would. Quasar, in the style of Wendell Vaughn, is our Justice ally. He costs 3, does 1 thwart and 2 attack, and he has 3 hit points. When he enters play, remove 1 threat from each scheme in play. I mean, that's pretty great. He's the Squirrel Girl for side schemes. Rolling him into, Red Skull? Anything with a lot of side schemes. Red Skull. This is going to be a great card. Red Skull. Living Tribunal is the Justice cosmic entity that gets shuffled into the encounter deck. This one will remove 2 threat from the main scheme. This is probably a little worse than the In-Betweener, if only for sheer virtue of the fact that there might not be threat on the main scheme, but there probably will be, so it's still pretty good, but it's still pretty bad. Zone of Silence is a 1-cost Justice event very similar to Magic Attack. This time you get to choose a scheme and discard up to 4 cards and remove threat for each card you discarded. And you gotta be a Mystic. I mean, thank God Justice Doctor Strange finally got a boost. Now we've got a leadership ally, Major Victory, who was a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy in the year 3000 and who came back in time and gave Rocket the name Guardians of the Galaxy. The name Guardians of the Galaxy is a time loop in and of itself, and I think that's neat. He costs 2 to put out, has 2 hit points, and does 1 each thwart and attack. When he is defeated, ready a Guardian character. I don't know why you wouldn't put this in a Guardian-heavy leadership deck. Eternity is the leadership cosmic entity. When you reveal this one from the encounter deck, draw a card. Summoning Spell is a 2-cost leadership event that lets a Mystic discard cards from their deck until you discard an ally and put that ally into play. Obviously, this depends on the cost of the allies you have in your deck, whether it's going to be good or not. Using this and running into Ant-Man or Blade or Stinger is going to feel pretty bad, but using it and running into Nick Fury or Heimdall, that's going to feel pretty heckin' good. Innovation is our leadership resource. When you spend it, heal 1 damage from an ally you control. Again, at the worst, it's a wild icon. But is it good? On to the protection cards, we have Charlie 27, a 4-cost ally with 4 hit points, 1 thwart, 1 attack, retaliate, toughness, and helpful reminders of what those terms mean. And can you really put a resource cost on that? I don't know, but this seems expensive. The Gardener is the green cosmic entity. Heal 2 damage when you reveal this one. For a cost of 0, we have Shield Spell for the Proud, the Few, the Mystics. This event will cancel the damage from an attack and ready your character. I don't know. I don't know if the community was just like clamoring to make Mystics stronger, but they sure just got a lot stronger in this pack. Can we have one of these for Gamma? Can we have one of these for Gamma? Preservation, the protection resource, will heal a damage from your hero when you spend it. And with that wording, this is the worst one, right? It doesn't say identity. You gotta be in hero form to get the benefit of that heal. It can't happen on your alter ego. Boo! Last is a neutral ally, Martinex, who was part of that Guardians team with Major Victory and Chuck 27. 4 HP, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 3 cost, but he costs 1 fewer if you have the Guardian trait. 2 costs for 4 HP is solid. That's it. Those are Adam Warlock's cards, except for the reprints, because reprints are stupid. Get off my lawn. The Grouchy Nerd.